John Stones allegedly signed a collective letter against Thomas Tuchel's coaching staff just hours before England's World Cup opener against Mexico. This wasn't some minor disagreement. This wasn't a tactical debate that got out of hand. This wasn't the press making something out of nothing. This is serious. Nothing like this has ever been seen on the eve of a World Cup match. And there's a detail the FA still hasn't confirmed publicly. The letter was reportedly typed on Harry Kane's laptop, but sent from an anonymous email account to avoid direct attribution. And the worst still hasn't come out. Over the next few minutes, you're going to understand exactly what happened and why this turns England's World Cup upside down. This is bigger than anyone expected. When this happens hours before kickoff, it's not just another dressing room disagreement. This threatens Thomas Tuchel's authority, England's unity, and the entire tournament before it even begins. And behind the scenes, it's worse than it looks. According to sources close to the England camp, it all started late Wednesday night at the team hotel in Dallas. John Stones allegedly put his name to a document drafted by senior players expressing frustration with Tuchel's backroom staff. The letter, reportedly signed by at least 4 outfield players, including Declan Rice, called out training intensity, tactical communication breakdowns, and what was described as an overly rigid approach from Tuchel's German-based coaching team. The document stopped short of demanding dismissals, but called for an urgent review of backroom roles and greater player input. Word reached Tuchel's inner circle by Thursday morning, just over 24 hours before kickoff against Mexico. That's when everything changed. Thursday afternoon, in a closed-door meeting room at the team hotel, Thomas Tuchel reportedly confronted John Stones directly. Flanked by his assistants Anthony Barry and Hilario, Tuchel asked Stones whether the letter represented his views. According to witnesses, Stones held eye contact and confirmed his signature without apologizing. He stated the concerns were shared and needed addressing. The room went silent. Harry Kane attempted to mediate, suggesting the conversation continue after Mexico. But Tuchel reportedly responded that loyalty cannot be conditional on timing. Stones allegedly stood his ground, arguing that waiting would mean another match under the same dysfunction. Tuchel walked out first. Stones remained seated, surrounded by Marc Guehi and Declan Rice. The atmosphere during the evening meal was described as funereal. However, the real problem had started days earlier. The rift reportedly began during the pre-tournament training camp in Florida, where Anthony Barry introduced a possession-based pressing system that clashed with the direct style many England players knew under Gareth Southgate. John Stones, accustomed to Pep Guardiola's methodical approach at Manchester City, allegedly grew frustrated with rigid instructions that didn't account for player instincts. Tension escalated when Hilario reportedly criticized Jordan Pickford's distribution in front of the squad, a breach of dressing room protocol. By the time the squad reached Texas, multiple players were privately questioning whether Tuchel's staff understood the English game. Here's where things become even more complicated. On one side, John Stones and the senior players believe Tuchel's insistence on imported methods risks alienating the core group that reached back-to-back finals. They argue the coaching staff needs to adapt. On the other side, Thomas Tuchel views the letter as a betrayal at the worst possible moment and believes yielding would undermine his control. And hold on, because the most controversial detail I've saved for the end. Inside the dressing room, reactions split sharply. Declan Rice and Marc Guehi reportedly backed Stones fully. Jude Bellingham and Bukayo Saka stayed neutral, unwilling to escalate, but clearly uncomfortable with the coaching approach. The coaching staff, led by Anthony Barry, reportedly feel blindsided. The FA held an emergency conference call Thursday night, with insiders describing panic about optics and potential media fallout. Social media erupted. Some fans defend Stones as a leader willing to speak truth to power. Others accuse him of undermining England hours before a World Cup opener. Now Thomas Tuchel is caught between two bad decisions. If he drops John Stones or any signatory, he risks public mutiny and loses tactical cohesion against Mexico. Stones is England's best ball-playing defender, and dropping him would force a reshuffle at centre-back. But if Tuchel ignores the letter and continues unchanged, the rift deepens, morale craters, and the FA faces questions about whether he's lost the dressing room before the tournament even begins. And the clock is ticking. England faces Mexico on Saturday night. FIFA's squad replacement window closes 24 hours after the match, meaning any decision to send someone home must happen immediately. Fresh reports suggest Tuchel recorded the closed-door meeting on his phone, and the FA is now debating whether to review the footage or bury it to avoid further scandal. This is the weight of what just happened. Hours before the biggest match of the tournament, England's unity is in question, and Thomas Tuchel's authority hangs by a thread. And look, this is far from over. This is the information circulating so far. Over the next few hours, new details should trickle out, and they could turn this whole story upside down. So for you, was John Stones right to risk everything by signing that letter hours before the biggest match of the tournament? Or did he betray his manager and his country at the worst possible moment? Let us know in the comments below. And if you don't want to miss the next major development, subscribe now and turn on notifications, because when this fully breaks, you'll want to be the first to know, not the last.